How's it going?
Zizo, what's up, bro? How we doing tonight?
All good, all good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, man. That's how you say your nickname, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to do the full-on introduction and pronounce your name and bring you into the audience, but man, I tell you what, with your accent, why don't you just do it for the ladies, bro?
My nickname is just Zizo. Zizo, that's my name. That's what I go by.
How about the full name overall, brother?
Ziyad Almaayouf.
There you go. What's
Yeah,
going on tonight, man? Chilling in LA?
yeah, yeah. Chilling. Finally back in LA. It's been a long time since I've had a camp in LA, so now we're back here, and it's like just a little bit of my comfort zone. Home away from home.
Yeah. How's the food?
I mean, well, now I'm getting ready for another fight right after, so there isn't much food yet.
Excellent. Training hard over there, huh?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. LA, if you know anything, is that LA and sparring, they go hand in hand. So
Yeah,
the best sparring in the world is in LA.
excellent, bro. Excellent, bro. So, let us talk about your start in boxing. Obviously, you just fought over the weekend. Tremendous start, by the way, to a world audience on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Opening up the
yeah,
card. I can't wait to unpack that.
yeah, definitely.
However, let's start with your career. What got you there, man?
Honestly, it's been every single time I tell the story, I just think that the deeper I go into the sport, every time I say the story, I just think back and go like, how did all of this end up to bringing me here, But I used to play tennis before boxing, and in the Arab world, because sports in general isn't really big in the Arab world, it's just football or soccer in the US, as you guys call it. But it's sports wasn't really that big, so we'd never have independent gyms for specific sports. What we'd have is a big sport complex that has everything, and every little sport has its own like corner or its own little zone where they train. So I used to play tennis because my dad is a huge tennis fan, and he really wanted me to become a tennis player earlier then. And when we used to warm up for tennis, we used to go to the running track. And then sports not being big in the Arab world is one thing, and then boxing being non-existent in the Arab world is another. So because boxing was non-existent, they didn't have a zone or equipment to train in. So they used to just train on the running track. So the coach would be standing on the running track with his mitts, and people are just lined up waiting for their turn. And so when the tennis group and I was part of, we'd go warm up for the tennis, I'd see them train. And I'd more so say I'd hear them train. That's what really caught my attention, that intensity in the voices of the fighters, of the coach, the intensity of the punches. And when then I thought about it at the age of 11, I don't know how I thought about that, but when I thought about, I always had a feeling of I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be remembered. And no one has ever done anything in boxing in the Arab world. No one, especially no one local. So someone could have done it of Arab heritage, of Arab parents, grandparents. That's one thing, but to be trained in the Arab world, brought up in the Arab world with their coaches, their training system, their schedules, and their minimal to no equipment. Now that's another story that I wanted to be able to write and tell.
That sounds really interesting, and what a wonderful story, man. You all got together and you all learned from each other,
Yeah,
because like you said, boxing wasn't big there. It wasn't something that was around. So it's like someone had to discover it and pass it on.
exactly.
It wasn't like you just caught something on television, right?
Yeah. Well,
For
we
me, I
don't
can
have
tell you
boxing
where
on
it was.
TV.
Yeah,
We don't have boxing on TV.
exactly.
So we don't have it televised at all. And then the big fights used to be in the US, and because of the time difference, it would be at 3 or 4 a.m. in the Arab world. So then for you to accidentally fall in love with boxing by being accidentally exposed to it, that's impossible because we didn't have it. So you had to be a diehard fan already to wake up in the middle of the night and watch those fights.
Yeah. I've done it. I've pulled all nighters still to this
Yeah.
day where I wake up, watch a fight. My wife's like, "What are you doing right now?" I'm like, "There's a fight on, I think the Zone right now." She's like, "It's 4 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? You have work at
Yeah.
like 8." I'm like, "It's okay. I'm just gonna go out and check out the main event." Meanwhile, I'm running late
Exactly.
to work. A couple of
Exactly.
hours later.
Exactly. It's a different world. It's a different world.
It's a passion, man. But I tell you what, Saudi Arabia is really the place to be with sports right now. I mean, they're putting on these wonderful events. You know, they really opened their minds to just about bringing in everything, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, definitely,
It's
definitely.
being well accepted, and they're doing it the right way over there. Correct?
Yeah, yeah, they're doing it the right way and they're doing it at very big, stages and with the bright lights of the world just shining on them, where they have to get everything right,
Mhm.
even though they're new to it. But what people don't understand is, them hosting sports and exposing it to the public in the Arab world and in Saudi Arabia is one thing, but they're also doing it to make tourists more comfortable in entering the country. It's because like people like to talk, and so anyone who hasn't been to Saudi Arabia, they just hear about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And before going to Saudi Arabia, what you hear about Saudi Arabia isn't really the best stuff to hear, especially 5 years ago before all the changes and all the laws changing and all of that. So when you first go to Saudi Arabia for an event or just to visit, naturally, and we understand that, in Saudi Arabia, naturally, you're going to be uncomfortable. Maybe you might be worried, you might be scared, all of that. But then if you go for a specific sporting event that you can relate to, that you are comfortable in, then it makes the experience a lot more comfortable. So, say you're a huge boxing fan, but you've never been to Saudi Arabia, but now you want to go see Usyk and Joshua in Saudi Arabia and might as well experience new countries and a new culture and a new population, just different people, different mindsets. So you might be worried just because of what you hear about Saudi Arabia, but you'll
Well,
always have in the back of your head, you know what, but I've been to a boxing fight before. I've been to a boxing event before. So at least I know there's some comfort there. And that's what they're doing.
and it's wonderful. Again, like they're putting a lot of heart and soul into it. You can
Yeah.
see that they're putting a lot of heart and soul into everything they're doing, every little detail to make it look right. And it
Mhm.
doesn't look fake. It looks very genuine,
And it
especially
is.
like what they're doing with the ladies nowadays, the
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. I mean, we know Rachel Charles, what she's doing
Exactly.
with you. With she, I believe she's one of the first
She's the
female
first,
manager.
yeah, the first
To
female manager to a male athlete in Saudi Arabia.
That is such a wonderful accomplishment. Let's say that again out loud.
Yeah, yeah. Rachel Charles is the first female manager to a male athlete in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely. Tell me about your dog.
Yeah, this guy is huge. I have a Great Dane in LA and he thinks he's small, but he really isn't.
Check this out. All right,
That's crazy.
we're gonna do a tail of the tape. Here comes my girl.
Same stuff, same thing.
What do you think?
Yeah, see, same size.
See, she's fighting right now a little bit above her weight class.
Yeah, no, dogs are amazing, man. I mean, it's part of that stuff that gets me through camp. Wherever I go, I need to have my dog with me, even though I didn't really choose the perfect size to be able to easily transport him to places, him being a Great Dane, but
I
you
was
know,
gonna say, man, like, what is going on? That's a huge dog.
yeah, yeah, he's huge. He's very
That's a
big.
huge fella right there.
Yeah.
But that's great, man. Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So, what do you do to like pacify time when you're getting unwinding from training camp and relaxing? What do you like to do for fun? Sports outside of boxing, music, video games. What are you into, man?
Well, it really just depends where I'm at, because the time difference plays a very big part. If I have enough time to talk to friends and family back home, I'll do that for most of my day. In camp, boxers aren't really, or just professional fighters in general, they're not really ones to like socializing when they're in camp. But I like to have noise around me. So, what my friends do, because a lot of them also travel abroad to study and stuff, they always have like a group FaceTime where everyone just enters from the beginning of the day until the end. But the beginning of the day until the end on their time zone is very different for me. I just
Yeah,
catch them for half of the day. But I just put the phone there, I put it somewhere, and I lean it on whatever side of the table, and I just keep it there just so I don't feel alone. I don't like to feel alone. I just hear them talk, I hear them laugh, and it makes me it makes me feel like, it's just a regular thing I'm doing, because it's camp for me is always in different places, different cultures, and just different sides of the world. So
right.
I have to adapt to a lot more than just the boxing. The boxing is the easiest thing to adapt to when I travel, but other than that, I'm a big movies person. I love movies. I love movies. I love the production of movies, the editing of movies. I love
Me too.
everything. Just watch them over and over.
Me too, man. I'm big into like the art of film. I
Yeah,
also have a lot of actors, filmmakers on and stuff like that, which is an absolute honor. And me and the wife just went and saw Creed 3 um,
yeah,
over the weekend. Man, that movie was shot so well. She
yeah.
came out of the theater with me. She was like, I love the way they did that movie.
It was perfect. It
It,
was perfect. The way
it
they shot it was perfect.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the fight scenes being in IMAX and stuff, they just like showed every sweat drop.
Oh, and then the bones when you heard
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sound. Oh
The Tony
man.
Bennett scene, yeah. That was crazy.
What are your some of your favorite actors of all times?
Oh man, I love like Robert De Niro, to be honest. I love him. I love Tom Hanks. I really watch anything that has Tom Hanks in there. Denzel Washington. Yeah, these are my top people. Any movie that they're in, I just fall in love with. And Jake Gyllenhaal as well. Oh man, this guy is just too good. He's too good. He's a very good actor, and
Excellent,
does
absolute
yeah, and does
phenomenon.
very different roles. He's everywhere. Him and Christian Bale as well. Different roles. It doesn't matter what character they're playing. They just really just make you feel like they are that person.
Gary Oldman's like that too.
Yeah.
He could be in like so many different movies, and at the end, you're like, Gary Oldman was in that film, and you're like, wait a minute,
Exactly.
oh my god, it was that guy.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
great actor! I
It's
mean,
like it's like Will Smith and King Richard.
yeah,
I forgot that Will Smith was in the movie. Definitely.
it's amazing. I watch like a lot of television as well. Sons of Anarchy. When I heard
Mhm.
him talk and he had a British accent in an interview, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's amazing. Like he sounds like such like
Yeah.
that American accent. You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
I was totally fooled. Oh,
Yeah, but movies are amazing, man. They just like get me through camp really, really well.
what about television shows?
I mean, I'm more of a limited series type of person, and then if I'm gonna watch like a very long show, I only just have like a handful. I stick to the basics: Grey's Anatomy, Friends. Just the stuff like that. I watched a show called Elementary as well. That's like a Sherlock Holmes show. But other than that, I'm a really big fan of the series that are like 8 episodes, 10 episodes, where I could watch multiple shows throughout camp, and I keep it to like one episode a day, so it gets me through it.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Cobra Kai?
No, I haven't. My brother did. He's always watching it.
You should check it out. It's like it's very easy to get through. It's cheesy. It's like
Yeah,
got like this 80s type vibe to it,
yeah,
with the soundtrack, and it's just great. It's entertaining, it's mindless,
yeah,
predictable, just fun, you know.
yeah, yeah. I will definitely give it a try.
Yeah, but yeah, you had seen Creed 3 recently. I think my favorite movie of all time, you mentioned De Niro, happens to be in that movie is Goodfellas. One of the greatest
Yeah,
films I think ever made,
yeah.
hands
These
down.
movies, the classics, especially with Robert De Niro, they never go wrong. Never go wrong. The acting is crazy. You know what? I really think he did a good job in Hands of Stone as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, excellent film. Very
The way
underrated
the way
movie.
he did that acting in Hands of Stone was amazing.
Very underrated movie. And
Yeah, very.
I was telling my buddies the other night, man, like, boxing movies are just awesome.
Yeah.
Dawn of Time.
Hey,
It's really hard to mess that up, huh?
yeah, yeah. Southpaw. For me, Southpaw, that boxing movie is one of the best.
Yeah,
It's the
that's a
story
dark
outside the
film. That's a
ring,
dark
inside the ring.
film.
Yeah, amazing movie.
I'm still not right from watching that because me and my lady, we were hanging out, and she's like, you know what? We're gonna watch a movie night, and she's like, I'm just gonna crash. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah.
I'm watching a movie by myself. I'm like, this movie's depressing.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit. Every single time I think about that movie, I think of the color like gray, colors gray and green. Just
Yeah.
depressing.
Yeah, no, but that movie was amazing, bro. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolute tremendous film.
Yeah.
What about music? What kind of stuff you listen to?
Oh man, I'm huge on music. I listen to probably most kinds of music. I have maybe over 50 playlists, just depends on my mood, depends on which depends on the genre and whoever I want to listen to at a specific time and whatever I'm feeling. Music is a huge, huge part of my life. There's always music playing in the house, always, and wherever I am in camp, music is there. I love discovering new music as well. So I'm not one to stick to, my one or two playlists. I like creating playlists and leaving them there and then creating new playlists and discovering new songs. I love doing that.
Yeah, I love the connection between music and boxing. And I'm a musician myself, a drummer, and obviously a big fan of boxing. And
Yeah,
there is a huge connection, especially with training and
yeah,
any type of thing that you're doing. If you're doing something around the house, clean the house, music will influence what you do in that scenario in a
definitely.
huge way. The way you walk into an environment, the way you walk into a scenario. You want to go into a fight feeling like fired up, but also at the same time
Yeah,
chill,
yeah,
focus, something that gets that vibe going, that
yeah,
right tempo.
yeah.
You don't want to come in just like hardcore punk rock,
That's true.
crazy, and then next thing you know, it's like around
Yeah.
passing out.
People tend to think that boxers are like me personally, people are always questioning what I'm listening to when I'm training because when I'm training, I'm listening to very calm music.
Yes.
Music that just keeps my heart rate low and keeps my, my head zoned in and focused. Because when the music's calm, I'm calm. And so I'm just focused at the task in hand the whole time. But they think I'm gonna be listening to, you know, Eminem or Jay-Z and stuff like that. That's not the time for it. But I
I was
like,
gonna say, man, time and place, like
yeah, time and place, exactly.
that's how I wind down. For me, it's funny. I listen to jazz a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
my
me too.
personality suggests metal. It
Yeah,
suggests
yeah,
hard
yeah.
rock, suggests hip hop, all that kind of stuff. I love all that stuff.
Mhm.
I put on some jazz at night. I meditate. I put on spiritual music.
Exactly, exactly.
Absolutely, man. Do you do anything for spirituality?
Like I do a lot of like visualization and I do a lot of meditating as well. I have a mental performance coach. He's from Egypt. And yeah, that I was so shocked to find a mental performance coach in the Arab world in general because that field is not big at all. And he's not like a sports psychologist. No, his job is to maximize your physical performance by maximizing your mental performance.
That's
You
what
know
I
what I mean?
do.
So it's like increasing your or enhancing your reaction time, your problem solving, your patience, and all of that. So, and I'm gonna touch on that when we talk about the fight, but visualization is such a big part of my life because visualization, if for anyone who doesn't know, it's the art of being in a place before you're actually in the place physically. But, not because people think you've been in a situation the first time, maybe it's the first time in front of them, or it's the first time in real life for them, but in your head, you've been there many, many times. So, what visualization and meditation does for me is it just keeps me zen. You know, whatever happens, I'm prepared for. Even though if I've never went through it physically in my life, I've went through it mentally. Because when you visualize a scenario or situations, you have to visualize both positive and negative outcomes. It doesn't work if you just visualize one outcome, because if you're faced with the other outcome, you're going to be shocked, and then when you're shocked, you don't know how to problem solve. So that's what mental performance, that's just a little part of mental performance. Reaction times and problem solving and patience is a huge part, especially in fighting, because in that ring, if it's round one, round two, and I can't see an opening, I'm patient. And then I have the problem solving to create my own openings, and then I have the reaction times to take them when they're there. So it's just a beautiful thing to work on for an athlete, and it's a whole other world that people don't know much about, and it's interesting to know more about.
It's great for the breathing too, to
Yeah,
focus your breath,
yeah,
especially under duress. Because when you meditate, it can take you to dark places. You got to
exactly.
take the clouds and make them dissipate and all that kind of stuff. I'm a big practitioner of
Hmm.
meditation, and the thing is for your breath, and you go through things that would usually cause, say, maybe a panic attack, but
Yeah,
instead of huffing and puffing,
exactly.
still having to deal with the anxiety, but focusing on your breath,
Hmm.
getting rid of the negative moment thought in that moment and getting rid of it and moving on.
Exactly.
Boxing will have those moments.
Yeah.
Life
Oh,
will
all the
have
time,
those moments.
all
Yeah.
the time, all the time, and it's one person who's very big on my breathing, and that which controls my, my mental state in fights and in sparring, is my coach, Buddy McGirt. It's very, you wouldn't tell he's a person that focuses on that stuff, but when he sees me in specific situations and scenarios in the ring, the first thing he talks to me about is the breathing.
Yep.
And then once I calm down my breathing, then I'm prepared for whatever is gonna come. Because sometimes, especially when the way Coach Buddy coaches is, sometimes you're gonna have to stand your ground, and you're gonna have to trust your defense. So when you're fighting someone very good, or when you're sparring someone who you know is very good, then like I said, the sparring in LA, they're all Olympians, Olympic champions, or world champions, or contenders. So when you have to stand your ground and trust your defense, you're gonna have to really just calm down your breathing, because once your breathing is controlled, your mental state is controlled, then you can actually trust your physical performance. But before your mental performance is controlled, you can't really trust your physical performance.
Wow, man. So well said, bro. And I tell you what about Buddy, man. You got me smiling, cracking up. Buddy's great. Had the honor to be in the gym with him a couple times and also on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful guy. And he's calm, he's chill. Everything. Hey, what's up, baby? What's going on?
Yeah, what's up, baby?
But I'm telling you, it's all about the breath and keeping
Yeah,
control. And there's life again. Like we're all going through some tough times. If anyone
exactly.
out there, some people think it's corny. Give it a shot. Take a
Yeah,
couple,
give it a shot,
20
definitely.
minutes out of the day for yourself and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
there. You know,
exactly.
it's a big step. And speaking of big steps, training camp, Buddy McGirt training this past weekend. Let's talk about what happened, what went down on the pay-per-view.
I mean, it was a whole experience. I got given so much that night, and like I always say, whenever I fight, I represent a lot more than just boxing. I'm representing so much more than just the fighting. So when I won that night, I won so much more than just the fight. And the best thing that could have happened for me, or the best thing that could have happened to me that fight, was me being knocked down in the first round.
Yes.
Because I mean, when I first started my pro debut, I had it on the Usyk Joshua card, and me being back home in Saudi Arabia, and I'm the Saudi Arabian fighter, the crowd and the electricity just gets to you. And so I let the hype get to me in my pro debut, and I took a very big shot in the first 10 seconds. It almost sent me out of there as well. So going into the second fight, I said, you know what? I've learned my lesson. I'm not gonna fall into the hype of the crowd. I'm not gonna let that electricity get to me. But then I was placed right before the co-main event. So you talk about a packed arena, you know, a packed arena, a full stadium, and I'm going out there, and then as I'm walking out, the arena's chanting my name, and it's just, this is exactly what I've been dreaming of. These are moments that I thought I wouldn't reach at all, actually. So they're all chanting my name, and then I just wanted to I wanted a war. I let the electricity get to me. I wanted to trade punches straight away. And what happened was I ran into a very good shot. I ran into a stupid shot, you know. I was reckless and I was trying to get him out there early and quick. And I forgot my boxing. I ran into a shot and it knocked me down. But that's where I talk about the visualization. It's because throughout camp, as we're doing my mental performance and I'm training my mind, we always do the visualization of the fight. And we visualize me knocking my opponent down and him getting back up. And what am I going to do then? Because the fight hasn't changed. I haven't won or I haven't lost. I have to stick to my game plan. I have to stay calm and composed. And then we visualize vice versa, him knocking me down. And then what am I going to do then exactly? How am I going to get up? When am I going to get up? And what am I going to do after I get up? And so if I get knocked down and I get back up, fight isn't over. I stick to my game plan, I stick to my boxing, and I keep going. So when I got knocked down, people thought this is the first time I get knocked down. It's the first time I get knocked down for you guys. But in my head, I've been knocked down almost 300 times. And I've taken the knee until the 8 count 300 times. And when I got up, so it's like, it doesn't matter how I got knocked down. I'm always going to take the knee until the 8 count because I'm a smart fighter. I know my body. I've studied my body. I've just like, I've studied everything that has to do with the fighter, and hurt or not hurt, when you get knocked down, I just think the best thing to do is to take a knee until the 8 count. Just give your body that reset. And that's what I did in my visualization. And then that's what I did in real life. So as soon as I got knocked down, I just wanted to make sure I have my legs with me. And as soon as I made sure that's happening, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take the 8 count and I'm going to take the knee, just reset physically and mentally. And then I'm going to get up and stick to my game plan and go again. But I remember the first time, the first thing that I saw when I looked up were my family. They were all right there ringside. And it's so weird how your mind works because the whole stadium went silent. And the only voices I started hearing were only the familiar voices. And when I tell you I'm hearing them, I mean, I could hear word for word what they're saying. It was so strange. So my younger sister was there watching. And I remember as soon as I get knocked down, because boxing isn't really big there, so they don't understand it. So they didn't really understand what the knockdown was. But my sister was telling me, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you on the floor? Get back up. Get up now. And that's why you see me at the camera. I'm pointing to someone. I'm like, chill, calm down. I'm good. I'm good. And so there are specific emotions that I felt during that knockdown. People will never know what I went through during these seconds because to them they're just seconds, but to me they were hours. I thought about everything. I thought about my career. I thought about my future. I thought about my past, my family, me being home, the pressure that was on me. I thought about everything, everything. And I'm telling you in details because these seconds passed as hours for me. So I've had specific emotions that I felt during that knockdown that I had to, what we call it in mental performance, that I had to park. So when you park emotions, you don't have time to accept and deal with the emotions, and you don't have time to dismiss the emotions. Because what happens is, if I dismiss the emotions that I felt when I got knocked down, then it wouldn't give me the motivation to win the other 3 rounds. And then if I accept and deal with the emotions when I got knocked down, it's not the time to accept them or deal with them because that was going to slow down my comeback for the next 3 rounds. Yeah. Because the emotions I felt were, a little bit of maybe fear, a little bit of worrying, a little bit of embarrassment, all of that, all of these emotions, it's not the time and place for it, even though they happen then. But what we do is we have to park them. I'm going to deal with these emotions later, not now, in the near future. I get back up and I hear that 10 seconds left. And so I visualized everything about the knockdown except one thing. What is he going to do after I get knocked down? So I got back up. I started to panic a little. So, and then Buddy, I could hear Buddy in my corner and he was like, he's going to rush you stand your ground, throw a 1-2. And that's exactly what he did. And then that's exactly what I did. I stood my ground, I threw a 1-2, and then I shook him, and he was back on the ropes. Round ended. I learned my lesson. I had to settle down, calm down. I stuck to my boxing. I had my mental state right. Nothing happened. If you get knocked down, doesn't mean anything. I've been knocked down 300 times before, and I've gotten up and I've won the fight after being knocked down 300 times before. That's the art of visualization. I've done it so many times before. I'm so experienced at this right now. And that's exactly what I did. I went back to my jab and I outboxed him for a decision.
So visualization, let's talk about what's coming up right off the bat. What, April 1st? You're back in the ring?
Yeah, April 1st, I'm back
On
on.
another big card.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's now my first, experience abroad, fighting abroad in terms of like London. I fight in London on the undercard of Anthony Joshua, and it's just crazy. I'm gonna be the first Saudi Arabian ever to fight at the O2 Arena. I'm gonna be the first Arab ever to fight at the O2 Arena. I'm gonna be the first ever local trained Arab to fight at the O2 Arena. So it's like these are some stuff that you can never have taken away from me. First ever, first ever, first ever. So it's crazy. That's what keeps me in the sport. Thank God, thank God.
Big up, man. 100, dude. I tell you what, I'm over here. It's well deserved. You could tell the passion in your voice. You could tell the
I
commitment
love it, man.
and the focus of it. It's there's not hype. It's you're thinking about everything, and it's smart. It's focused, like you were mentioning, intelligence. And
Yeah,
nowadays, more than ever, especially, I mean, with all the science and these athletes, I mean, these knockdowns we're seeing lately, knockouts are brutal.
yeah.
Conditioning is superb on everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
The trainers are even fit.
Yeah.
It's like people
The
look like
trainers love it.
squads. Like they look like squads,
Yeah.
like in some camps.
That's true. That's true. But I love it, man. I study everything about the fighting. I study the fighters, and not only the fighters, I study their mental state, their physical state. I like to just look at everything when I'm watching tape. How are their legs looking later in the rounds compared to earlier in the rounds? How's that stamina? How are they thinking mentally right now? I'm not only judging their boxing skills. I'm judging what they're thinking about mentally because I know so much about the mind now, thanks to my mental performance coach, that I'm always thinking about what is he thinking about now. And then I pick up from whatever fighter that stuff that I don't have. And then I learn from fighters of stuff that I don't want to have. I want to learn from. So boxing and studying tape and studying just the art of combat, that mental performance and that physical performance. And I always say, the fight, the real fight is the fight and the battles that we are faced of outside of the ring. The battle and the
Absolutely.
fight inside the ring is just a reflection of what we had to go through outside of the ring. And I'm not even talking about training. I'm talking about adapting to camp. I'm talking about the weight loss. I'm talking about the
Right.
distance from the family, the loneliness. That's how you're gonna
And
win the fight.
absolutely. And you got goals on top of that. Never to look ahead, of course, but we gotta, of course, plan and focus
Yeah, definitely.
and look forward, to the future as you do greatly and everything like that, as you should, because it's certainly going to be bright. So obviously your goals, you're in a great weight class.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to be moving around because there's playroom for that. But right now the focus is where you're at. Always a great category at 140, right?
Yeah, 140, I mean, if I had made my debut a little earlier because I had 3 canceled fights before I actually had my debut, I made 135 3 times. So it's like I can really go to 135 anytime I want. And I did 147 for that last fight. I'm gonna do 147 again for my April 1st fight. But 140 is where I'm gonna compete. This is where I want to stick to. And yeah, it's a great weight class, a lot of competition there, and it's even more so than the competition. It's a lot of people to learn from there, a lot of people to look up to there. So if we know anything about boxing, is that on your way up, you need to accept and let go of your ego. You need to sometimes accept that people have made it to a stage where you haven't yet made it there, and learn from them. Accept that they're there before you are, and learn from them and take from them. You know, I'm not here to say, yeah, I can beat this guy, I can beat that guy. People who are already world champions have already gotten the titles. Rather, I'd rather say I want to learn from them. I want to be like them. And that's exactly what I'm approaching this boxing game with, that mindset, with that thinking.
We love it. And tell us how we can find you on social media before we let you get to your rest this evening.
You can find me on Instagram at The Real Zizo.
At The Real Zizo. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, bro.
I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me that platform. This stuff I never get used to, no matter how many interviews I do or stuff. I never get used to that stuff. That's why the smile is from one eye to another right now, because it never gets old.
Excellent, my man. I'll see you soon, brother.
Thank you. I'll talk to you
I'll
soon.
send you up over all the links very shortly.